Welcome back to Sam's Garage, presented by NH Oil Undercoating. Sam and Doug upgrade the handling of the Alpha 1 GTO by replacing the factory original front struts with a new set of coilover springs. As usual, they'll show us the process from beginning to end, providing tips along the way. Once the upgrade is completed, the GTO will handle twists and turns like a thoroughbred sports car.
All right, so anytime you guys are building a highly modified vehicle like this 250 GTO, you're going to be doing the suspension, the brakes like Doug and I are doing, and in our case, we're changing the whole weight balance of the vehicle. So we need something like this full coilover setup. Tell them why, Doug.
Sam, you know, all those years road racing, what you have to do is get the balance of the car right. So since we're changing the motor out, actually the motor we're going to put in is a little bit lighter than the factory.
Really?
Yeah, 280 motor. So it's actually going to be a lighter engine. So we want to check our spring rates, we want to make sure our ride heights, we want to make sure everything's fully adjustable, and also the dampening. And if you take a look at those, they also have adjustable dampening in it. So we'll be able to get this dialed in right.
Absolutely. Not only that, but we all got alignment adjustment as well. Something that this car really didn't come with. You had to add those camber bolts to the lower control arms to get yourself some adjustability.
Yeah, because what we do is we check the tire temperatures, all right? So you go, you make a couple hot laps, we come back in, we'll check the temperature all the way across the tread. We want to make sure that temperature's uniform.
So if I see a little bit of tread wear on the negative camber, I know I've got some negative camber, I could take it out. But in this case, like you said, here we got ride height adjustability, we got spring rate adjustability, and like you said, we can change out these spring rates because we've got more power, and you don't know what this thing's going to feel like when you go in and out of corners.
Yep, that's correct. This allows us to dial everything in.
We're going to go ahead and install them.
Now Doug and I have it a bit easier when we're working on the front half of the GTO because as you can see, the engine is currently removed. First, we're going to loosen and remove the hardware that holds the strut to the strut tower. Now, if we got the brake lines that are attached to the strut, we want to make sure to remove them as well. In order to remove the front spindle from the strut assembly, there's oil in the cartridge and it's got to be drained completely. So we're going to drill a hole in the top and bottom of the cartridge, allowing for the oil to drain out. Make sure to wear safety glasses and follow the manufacturer's instructions when doing this step. The spindle can then be inserted into the new coilover spring at this time. Adjust the ride height and spring rate to the desired settings. Further adjustments can be made when the coilover has been installed back into the vehicle.
All right, Doug, our nuts on top are tight. Let's go ahead and close the hood.
You know, Sam, that was an awful lot of work, but it's going to really be worth it.
Absolutely. And you know, anytime you have a cartridge type suspension like what you saw us working with just now, those suspensions, it's a McPherson strut. It is popular all the way up until the mid-2000s on European cars. So all these old imports, if you want to change out the shock or even the spring, you have to go in and cut the factory cartridge out of the body of the shock.
Yeah, you know, and that's an awful lot of work when you cut it out. You always got to remember, drain the oil first. You want to put a couple of holes, one in the top, one in the bottom, allow that oil to drain out of that strut. Then you want to go ahead and use a little abrasive cutter. Take your time, work your way all the way around it. This way it'll separate real easy, and then you can start to put it into the coilovers.
And don't try to take a sawzall and go right through the middle of the shock because there's a hardened shaft in the middle.
Yeah, there's a hardened shaft, and what they do, it's an internal shock inside of it. So as you get ready to cut through it, once you get to that center point, there's a hardened shaft in there, and you're going to wind up creating all kinds of trouble.
Absolutely. So with these new coilovers, we got full adjustability. We're able to get around the corners, and it's going to make a huge improvement when going to the road course.
You know, everything here is so adjustable. We'll get the car handling exactly the way we want it.
Absolutely. And remember, guys, anytime you're cutting up a cartridge like what you just saw us do, read the instructions, cut the proper amount, because if you make it too short, you're going to destroy the integrity of that shock.